We had such amazing feedback for our last audio drama that we thought we would put together a Christmas special just for you. We put a lot of our time and effort into this, so we really hope you enjoy it. If you're someone who enjoys reading subtitles, you can click on the YouTube closed captioning button in the corner. Enjoy!
In the unforgiving weather of the northernmost tip of Canada, a small plane fights the tempestuous snow. The near-perpetual dark is obscured by an impenetrable wall of an unforeseen blizzard. In a cramped, aging cockpit, Susan, an experienced charter pilot, flies blind save for the flickering instruments on the panel. Her son, Yuki, sits as stoically as the turbulent ride will allow, a veneer of childish petulance over his mounting concern.
Damn! This storm came out of nowhere. Bit more exciting than our normal base alert Santa runs, eh?
It'd be more exciting if I had a switch, maybe.
Oh, don't be like that. Besides, I need your help as a co-pilot. With the storm, you really have to fight the stick here. Yuki, can you tell me if we... Oof!
Son of a...
Yuki, are we on course?
I told you to stop calling me that. My name is Mark.
You're 9 and get to have a unique traditional name instead of being forced to.
I'm being forced to have a dumb name when all of my friends have normal names. Everybody calls me Mark except for you. Because you're hung up on this tradition stuff.
Yuki? Mark, I'll call you the Sultan of Canada if you tell me our bearing.
The GPS is freaking out. Hold on.
Check the radio. We should be in range of the base VOR system.
Okay, there. We're 0.6 degrees port, 8 clicks. Shit, it's starting to fritz out too.
Language! Set the compass. We'll take our heading off there. Give me a dead reckon in 2 minutes. We should be able to see the base lights by then. If we can't, I'll circle lower and...
Son of a bitch! Mom, what's happening? What was that green light?
I don't know, but we've lost our engine. I'm trying to glide us down, but this is going to be rough. Give me the altimeter reading.
2,000 meters and dropping fast.
Okay, hold on. Yuki, we're doing fine. You keep reading out our altitude. I'll try and glide as close to the base as I can.
1,500, 1,200.
Good stuff, buddy. You're doing great.
1,000, 800. Mom, are we going to be okay?
You think this is the first time I've lost my engine? We'll be fine. How high up are we?
200, 150, 100.
Okay, buddy. Brace yourself!
At the end of a deep, long trench of upturned snow and churned soil lay the cargo plane. Its wings were torn away with the impact, and the fuselage plowed to a stop, half buried by the blizzard. A single golden light shone in the cockpit window, cast from an emergency lantern. The interior of the plane was a shambled mess of packages and broken netting, made ominous by the flickering lantern. Susan, dazed but unharmed, hurried to her son who sat unmoving, strapped to his seat.
Yuki! Hey, come on, kiddo. You've got to wake up. Yuki? Yuki!
Mark.
Oh, thank fuck. You can't be too banged up if you're still hung up on this dumb name.
Language.
Huh. Okay. Tell me if anything hurts while I pat you down.
Mom, hey, whoa. Mom, I'm fine.
Yuki, listen. Right now, I'm not Mom. I'm your boss. You do what I say because that's how we're going to survive this. Do you understand me?
Yes, ma'am?
Good. Now, you could be in shock and have a broken leg without knowing it. If you can't walk, then I'm going to have to make a sled and pull you. Does this hurt?
No, it tickles. Oh, hey. Wait, what do you mean walk? Shouldn't we stay here and, stand by for rescue? It's a whiteout. We'll get lost in a second out there.
Normally, you'd be right. But whatever killed our engine fried everything with a microchip in this bird, including our transponder. We're not making any signals the base can hear. And with this storm, we could have landed on their front door with fireworks going off, blaring carols on a loudspeaker, and they still might not notice. So we need to pull ourselves together, grab supplies, and get to that base before the plane is completely buried in snow. Can I count on my co-pilot to be a brave little soldier?
Yeah. I'll do what you say, boss mom.
Good stuff. You wriggle into the cargo. Those care packages are bound to have something to eat in there, and some ugly-as-sin sweaters we can borrow. Hopefully we don't need them, but you never know. I'm going to grab the emergency kit and compass.
Do you really think we can walk to Alert from here?
Sure. We managed to glide pretty well, despite the storm. I figure we have around 6 kilometers to go. You walk longer than that when you head out to hunt with Grampy. Maybe I'll get you to pull me along if I get tired.
No way! You're huge!
Hey! I'm your mother!
I thought you were my boss.
Ooh, you used to be such a sweet kid. You find anything yet, underling?
A few sweaters. Oh, hey! Cookies! Whoa! A lot of cookies. There's some kind of baked goods shortage on this base or something?
Some people express their love through sweets instead of sarcasm.
Weird.
All right, kiddo. Get over here. Once you put those sweaters on, I'm going to tie us together with this rope. Then, we're out the door.
Armed with little more than their wits and a box of cookies, the mother and son venture into the all-consuming blizzard in hopes of finding their salvation.
Are we there yet?
No.
How about now?
No.
How about oomph?
I was the pitcher on my high school team. Don't make me send you a fastball.
Pff, bleh. I was going to ask about those lights there.
What are you? Oh! Come on, Yuki! We're almost there! Hey! Hey!
The base lights shone in the darkness, dull through the unforgiving snow, but visible. Susan, eager for the warmth they promised, nearly dragged her son up the shallow incline onto the base proper. She stopped, panting, when she came into the shelter of the base's old woodshed, Yuki huffing behind her.
Mom! Mom! I can't run that fast! Hold on!
Sorry. Yuki. Come here. We can catch our breath here beside the woodshed. Then walk in all dignified, okay? After that, it's hot chocolate and warm beds until the storm breaks.
I want every cookie in that box. Okay, let's head. Woo!
Hey, what are you?
In a blur, the woodshed door opened, a pair of hands coming out to pull the pair inside. The old wooden door slammed shut a moment later, shielding all inside from the worst of the howling wind. With a click of the ancient building's single light bulb, the pair could see their surroundings. It was a small shed, only big enough for them, the 100-odd cord of wood, and their assailant. He was a tall man in a red coat over his round belly, with coal-black boots and gloves. At their incredulous look, the man winked with a twinkle in his eye.
Oh, sorry about this, folks. Just needed to get to you before somebody did something silly.
Mom, did we just get pulled into the woodshed by Santa?
A very big Santa.
Oh, not quite, but close enough. You can call me Claus, your friendly neighborhood Yulkin. Also, I'd like to apologize again about the rough hello, what with the shoving and all. But I couldn't let the Krampari see you.
Yulkin? Krampari? I don't know what abandoned mall you crawled out of, but I'm not bringing my son to that base.
While normally I would very much advocate getting the youngster out of the cold, right now that base is just a little bit overrun with Krampari. Going in there would be a jingle bad idea.
Santa, Claus? Can you maybe explain what's happening here?
Have you been a good boy?
No.
Yes!
Well, I'd love to go into detail. We're actually in a whole stocking full of danger, and we don't have much time.
Okay, I'm not listening to this. Come on, Yuki.
Oh, sorry, but I can't let you go out there.
Hey! How are you doing that? Put me down!
You can make people float?
Of course. How do you think we get up and down chimneys? A ladder? Now, if you're good and don't go shouting, I'll give you as much of an explanation as possible. And then we really need to open a whole box full of hustle. Deal?
Deal!
put me down!
Great! So, in very, very broad strokes, the Yulkin and Krampari are what you would call aliens.
No way!
Pretty cool, right? Well, so far as super alien abilities go, I've got all the classics. Shape-shifting, mind powers, really neat technology. My sack of gifts actually links up with an interdimensionally compressed tesseract, where I keep a bunch of goodies. Me and my people are on Earth trying to spread joy and peace.
What about the Krampari?
What about putting me down?
The Krampari are the opposites of the Yulkin. They enjoy pretty well all the same powers and technology we do, but they use it in the opposite way. All their goals are meant to point humanity towards strife, conflict, and sorrow. If they got their hands on you two, I don't even want to think about what they'd get up to in your heads.
Those assholes!
Language!
Language! But, you're not wrong. Well, right now they've put all the soldiers in alert to sleep and have taken their forms.
Why?
My people and I think they're trying to mount an attack on the North Pole, where the Yulkin base of operations lies. This time of year, it's the most vulnerable, with the Yulkin spread far and wide. Simultaneously, it's the most important time to keep safe. The storm is their doing, to stop us from finding out about their nasty little surprise. I came in to investigate anyway, but they shot me down. Very naughty behavior, I don't mind telling you.
Fascinating, truly. Now, is there a reason we should believe a word of this?
Mom, you're floating, like 4 feet off the ground.
I'm pretty sure I'm just hypothermic and hallucinating. Goodness knows I'm feeling awful damned nauseous right now.
Sorry about that. But if you need proof, we can ask young Mark here.
Hey, how do you know?
Magic alien, remember? Now, since you're a youthful fellow, you should be able to see through the illusions with a little help. Human children are harder to trick with telepathy, on account of their minds still growing and changing. Here, let me help you see how I really look.
Whoa.
Yuki? Are you okay? What do you see?
He's got these big antlers, like a reindeer, with red and white swirly patterns on his skin. Otherwise, he, looks like Santa. Ooh. Hey, can we stop this? I'm feeling kinda sick too now.
Huh. You shouldn't be able to feel... I mean, don't worry about it. There. No more magic. I know it's technically a lie, but I hope it's alright with you if I keep my illusion going. It takes a bit of effort to take off. I put it on in the first place because I assume you'd probably punch anybody with antlers if they shoved you into a woodshed. I bruise like a peach. In humans, you're stronger than you look. So, dressed in my best Santa impersonation. Since who punches Santa?
You'll find out if you don't put me back down.
She's a grinchy one, isn't she?
Yeah, but she also has a mean left hook, so...
Good point. Well made. There you go, miss. Back on the old terra firma. Which is good, since we really need to get going. Those Krampari shot my sleigh down, so I need to borrow something from the base garage to return to the North Pole before they launch their attack. You wouldn't happen to know where that garage is?
We're not stealing from a military base.
This way!
Yuki opened the door to the woodshed, running onto the familiar grounds of the base. The storm waned as he ventured further, almost as though circling the place like a faithful hound on guard. His mother, surprised, could only stumble after him.
Yuki, get back here! Ugh! Bud, we're still tied together.
Then stop slowing me down! We've got to help! You're the one who's always telling me to help out others whenever I find the chance.
I didn't mean to help with robbery.
Well, since we're trying to be sneaky, this is burglary. But it's also not that, because I'm just borrowing it. Promise. Yulkin's honor.
You know, if we're trying to be sneaky, how about a little more sneaking? The storm isn't nearly as bad on the base, so we can't count on it to keep us covered. Mr. Claus, look over there. Past the mess hall and across the road is the garage. We have a few trucks in there, an Arctic cat, and some old dog sleds.
How do you...
Sergeant Giles showed me around last year while you were handing out the care packages. It was the only fun part of the trip.
Well, I'm very thankful for that, Mark. You're really aiming for the nice list this year.
The trio walked as quietly as the crunching snow would allow, moving past brightly lit windows, ducking down so as not to be seen by the creatures shifting around inside. They were walking by the mess hall, nearly to their goal, when a door opened, spilling warmth and light onto them. A soldier strode out, carelessly whistling jingle bells as he jauntily skipped down the steps. It took almost 3 whole seconds of stunned, frozen staring for everyone involved to realize what was happening. Klaus brought his hands up, green sparkles dancing along his coal-black gloves. The soldier reached into his pocket, drawing out a thick candy cane, aiming it like a gun at the jolliest, roundest target available. Yuki dove to the ground, furiously trying to pack snow into a ball. Susan punched the shoulder with a left hook that echoed throughout the base. While the soldier looked square-jawed, barrel-chested, and otherwise a clear specimen of military prowess, that blow spun him in the air and laid him flat in the snow.
That was like punching a particularly firm pillow.
By all the jelly in my belly, he folded like an origami crane. You see why I didn't want to be punched by a human?
Guys?
The young boy noticed a couple of things while the older folk were marveling at his mother's surprising penchant for violence. Firstly, that the soldier on the ground appeared fuzzy. It was as though Yuki was looking through fogged glass, the illusion of a man almost drifting away, like a fog cloud on a lake. Long horns and swirling patterns in the skin peeked through the odd cloud of magic. He wanted to look closer, get a better idea of what these malevolent aliens looked like, but had to turn his eyes aside to the still open door. The door where sounds of working men, moving, singing, and joking had been pouring out until just moments ago, where only dreadful silence now lingered.
Sneaking time is done now, I think.
For the simple expediency of it, Susan picked up her son and put every ounce of her strength into making it to the garage. At about halfway, red, swirling blasts of incandescent energy rained down around them. Snow exploded, glitter choked the air, and the sounds of fireworks filled the grounds as they ran. Susan shouldered into the building, followed closely by Klaus, who closed the door behind him and began gesturing at it with his glowing hands.
Can't you stop them?
Could you, if they were a bunch of normal human soldiers? I'm Yulkin enough to know when I am outnumbered and outgunned. There, that ought to hold them for a while we get ourselves a ride.
What are we going to use? The cat has these special tires to drive on polar ice, but some of the trucks are kept stocked with survival supplies, just in case.
No. Too bulky, too green. And a diesel. The emissions on that thing must be horrible. Think of the polar bears, why don't you? Now we're going to ride in style with one of these bad boys.
A dog sled. With no dogs.
I agree. It could use a bit of sprucing up. Let's see.
With a wave of his hand and a wiggle of his nose, the sled began to glow a vibrant green. It grew longer, wider, metal and fabric giving way to polished wood and intricately carved panels. Within the space of a few heartbeats, a spacious, old-world sleigh sat in the middle of the concrete garage, ready to be harnessed. Looking back to the gawking humans, Claus winked and pulled an unadorned brown leather sack from his coat, opening it wide and giving it a shake. Fully grown, well, reindeer isn't quite the right word. The massive, hooved creatures clumped, one after another, from the interdimensional space, stepped into their positions where harnesses dutifully secured themselves. The alien animals shimmered in the dim space, bolts of green light tracing down from their antlers to their hooves, casting odd shadows. The trio were allowed exactly 1 second of basking in the bizarre, magical wonder of the scene before the few anemic lights went out and the building started to shake violently.
Oh, poop! Time's up! Everyone aboard who's going aboard!
In you go, Yuki.
It's Mark!
Seriously, right now?
Whatever. How are we getting out? The garage door is closed and they've cut the power.
Well, I've got more in my bag than gumdrops. Sometimes you need a bit of coal for the naughty kids. Susan, when I give you the signal, snap the reins.
Reaching into his bag one more time, Klaus pulled out a candy cane. It was different from your standard minty treat in several ways. The spiral had a vibrant green color, as opposed to the traditional red. It crackled with the same strange flickering energy as the not reindeer restlessly pawing at the concrete as the building shook. Finally, it was as tall as a grown man. Klaus fit the hook of the cane around his torso while the shaft rested over his shoulder. It cracked with power, bolts of green traveling along its length. Then, with a sharp crack, a flash of bright green light and the unmistakable scent of deep forest pine, the garage door exploded. Taking that as the signal, Klaus spoke up. Susan gave the reins a mighty flick. The collection of alien deer brayed and ran, their hoofbeats like a rolling tide of thunder. Klaus fell back into the sleigh as the animals began an ascent into the sky, crashing through the blizzard at a blistering pace. Bolts of red followed them into the whipping snow, cracking against the side of the sleigh. Before long, though, they were free of the blizzard, sailing through the clear sky. The wind quieted to a gentle whoosh around them at Klaus's motions after stowing his tactical candy cane.
Susan, you have a talent for flying Rudolkian deer, I have to say.
I've spent more time in the air than on the ground for most of my life. Flying a sleigh is new, but it's strangely intuitive.
Oh, there's more to do with you being humans. Yulkin and Crampian technology, a lot of our powers and a decent chunk of our planets run off of your latent psychic energy. You're not actually controlling the deer with the reins. They're just a conduit for your thoughts. You think up, the deer go up. For now, think, I want to see the North Pole, and the deer will handle the rest.
Whoa, wait. We're powering you and all this?
Of course. Why do you think my people are fighting with the Crampians? The laughs?
So you want humanity to survive so we can, what? Charge your phones?
What? No! I mean, yes, but also no. See, you guys are very powerful psychics, but the part of your brains that lets you actually control that stuff isn't very developed yet. You throw this energy around all willy-nilly without even noticing, so we're scooping it up and trying to keep you safe. And then, while you're still growing, we Yulkin want to help you develop along a good path. Someday, you'll be more powerful than us. That's just going to happen. We'd prefer it if you weren't, what's a way to put this?
You're worried we'll be super powerful psychic assholes?
What are you teaching this kid?
He's getting that stuff from the internet, thank you very much.
Well, you got the gist of it.
Then the Krampari want us gone so we don't take them out or something?
Oh, the Krampari want you to survive too. They need your power just as much as the Yulkin do. Their goal is for humanity to stagnate, stop evolving, and become a slave race. It's why they put the soldiers back at the base to sleep instead of, unaliving them.
He's watched The Lion King. He knows what murder is.
Right. Both actions need humans alive and well. One just wants you happy, while the other wants you miserable. For lack of a better term, it flavors your psychic energy differently. When you're happy, the energy's positive, creative, purposeful to making things and healing. The negative energy is aimed at destruction, hurting, or generally causing a big mess. It's why our races diverge so much, really.
Diverged? You and the Crampians used to be the same species?
Did you think that two spacefaring psychic energy-wielding species evolved on different planets and just happened to match up on technology right down to the aesthetics? Of course we're the same species. It's just a really, really pronounced case of you are what you eat. Turns out, powering all your stuff on misery, then filtering it through your prefrontal cortex to perform magic, you start to take it on as your whole personality, which makes, well, assholes. By inspiring acts of kindness and generally being nice, we're taking that fuel away from them, and without it poisoning them, they'll eventually return to being Yulkin. So, my people are out there doing what we can to make humanity happy.
So why not just cure disease, feed the hungry, and launch billionaires into the sun?
As a human, how would you feel about a big, spacefaring civilization swinging by, solving all your problems, and telling you not to be douchebags anymore? How do you think the people would take that?
Going to go with not well?
Yep. Tried it a couple millennia ago, and not well just about sums up how it went. A lot of Yulkin and Crampians met the business end of some very pointy sticks. So, in order to avoid being murdered by a bunch of pre-FTL savages, no offense, we do things quiet. Hold doors open for people. Slip a $5 bill into a wallet or two. Clean up a public park. Pay some writers to make some cool stories on our YouTube channel. Those little acts of kindness ripple out. Say I foot the bill for a struggling mother's groceries. She goes on to look after her neighbor's kid as a favor while that neighbor has a job interview. They aren't stressed about what their kid's doing, so they nail the interview. They get the job. They grab some takeout, knowing that they've already got a steady income, and decide to give that food to the hungry fella on the street. The stress and misery of dozens of people can be lowered by helping a single person. All of the psychic energy they put out is then positive. The power gets fed to the power battery, and from there, other Yulkin can keep doing more and more to help others.
Is that where we're headed? The power battery?
Yep. They're trying to bust up the main battery, which would put us way behind in the war. We have to start sipping the naughty juice. That's why the Crampians are trying to make things worse and worse, to starve us out or get us to convert. They're out there posting AI schlock, talking during movies, or inspiring HOA boards to find folks over holiday decorations. Those affected take their grumpiness out on their kids or neighbors, or post mean comments. All of that then feeds the Crampians' machines and powers, allowing them to reach further and further.
Maybe my teacher's a Crampian agent then. Goodness knows she likes causing misery.
A lot of teachers actually tend towards being Yulkin. The phrase, ignorance is bliss, may be true on a personal scale, but the smarter a society is, the happier they tend to be.
Whatever society that has me taking an algebra test on Monday morning isn't making anybody happier.
Hey, I don't write the studies or anything,
Whatever Claus was going to say was lost in the sound of fireworks as red blasts of light crashed into the sleigh, rocking all inside. Looking back, they found a trio of sleighs like their own in pursuit. A dozen soldiers from the base riding them, candy canes in hand.
They caught up!
Mom!
Hold on!
The sleigh went into a steep dive. Klaus holding on for dear life while Yuki stayed attached to Susan by virtue of the rope that still tethered them together. Their pursuers dove in turn, firing wildly, their shots cratering the rapidly approaching tundra. With a roar, Susan pulled up hard, the deer's hooves skimming the powder while Klaus and Yuki thudded into the sleigh. A thunderous crash of braying, ethereal animals and splintering wood sounded behind them as one of the followers met the polar ice in a decidedly violent manner. Klaus, who stumbled to his feet with his sack in hand, retrieved the overly long, weaponized minty treat. Bracing himself with Yuki holding him steady, Klaus took aim and fired. The green blast tore a mighty trench in the snow and ice, blinding the deer and their drive long enough for them to fall, skidding along the polar sheet. The cost of maintaining a straight flight path to ready and aim the weapons, though, was taking withering fire from the remaining sleigh full of soldiers. A whole back corner of their ride was riddled with holes, causing the sleigh to jounce and rock. Between that and Susan's renewed attempts to shake the last group of attackers, Klaus lost his weapon. He'd have lost himself if it weren't for Yuki pulling him to relative safety.
What do we do now? Do you have anything else in that bag?
Not really. I'm running out of juice. The sleigh takes a lot of power. Hey, you guys don't happen to have any rocket launchers in your backpacks?
There's a flare gun in mine.
All I've got is a box of cookies.
Cookies? Well, why didn't you say so? Give them here!
Klaus nearly ripped the bag from Yuki, pulling out the gift-wrapped box of cookies. He ripped the top away and threw the sweet treat out to the wind. The deer of the pursuing sleigh immediately took notice, peeling away to chase after the flying confections and casting their drivers into the snow. Free and clear, Susan poured on the speed, their rickety sleigh racing off to the endless white expanse of the North Pole.
I think we're almost there. Damn, that's weird. It's like the deer are trying to talk to me. It's giving me a headache.
Just let them do the driving. They'll stop where we need them to stop. Which is good, because I am really running on fumes here.
Hey, why did the cookies work?
Oh, Rudolkian deer have one hell of a sweet tooth. They catch a tiny hint of sugar in the wind, and they'll fuck right off after it.
Then why didn't ours go after the cookies?
Hey, we're going in for the landing. Hold on to something.
The sleigh nearly crashed for how damaged it was, the deer coming to a halt in what seemed like an empty expanse of snow and ice. Yuki and Susan were thrown while Klaus hopped out at the last moment, power leaving the sleigh, converting to a tattered and broken dog sled tumbling on the ice. Those shattered pieces came to a sudden stop, as though hitting something large and unseen. Klaus was the first to his feet, casting a gloved fist against the invisible wall. It shimmered and quaked, uncloaking to reveal a massive dome of energy. At its heart was a single pine tree, brilliant red light arcing in all directions. What looked like a control panel of some kind lay at the base of the tree, like a gift waiting to be unwrapped.
Claws? What's going on?
We're here. The Yulkin power battery. Basically unguarded and ripe for the taking.
Claws?
Oh, you don't have to call me that anymore. And I don't have to keep pretending, which is fantastic, since this whole jolly bowl of jelly shtick really chafes. With a ripple of green light, the red suit, fur trim, black gloves, and plump exterior of Klaus vanished into a cloud of noxious smoke. Left standing in his place was a dark, furred creature on a pair of cloven hooves. His head bore two wickedly curved horns that spiraled like a goat above a face bearing only a cruel, fang-filled smile. Similarly, the ethereal reindeer changed, their antlers becoming viciously pointed, fur growing dark, matted, and slick.
There, much better. You know I was worried you'd see through my Yulkin disguise, since you could feel the nauseating, writhing nature of my power. But you were so keen to help, you just overlooked it. Now I need you to help with one more thing, Mark, little buddy.
Why the fuck would I do that?
Oh, that's easy. See, you asked why my deer didn't go after the cookies, right? Well, it's because they're abominable hinds. Not so much of a sweet tooth, but put a bit of blood in the air.
Yuki!
The disfigured beasts huddled around the prone woman, jagged teeth displayed in a snarl. They pawed at the snow, eager to be let free, to taste the meat splayed before them. Their Crampian master walked up behind Yuki, bringing a clawed hand down his front, snipping the rope between mother and son with a flick of his talons.
There, free as a bird. Now be a good little helper and unwrap this present for me.
Mom?
Delay any longer, and my pets may just get too hungry to hold back. Better hustle.
Yuki turned and ran, diving into the force field. Unlike the nauseating power of the Crampians, this felt like joy, like merriment, as though the world itself was a good place for good people. Then he was through, casting his gaze back at his mother, the creatures creeping ever closer to her. Claws just tapped his wrist, smile growing more vulpine. Yuki hurried to the control panel, finding it a complex and enigmatic array of colorful buttons and lights. Mercifully, there was only one that was big and bright red. His hand hovered over it, feeling the raw, incredible power that filled the room, flowed around him. Then he pressed down, the arcing bolts pulling back to the tree where it hummed, vibrating with barely restrained psychic energy. It felt like hope, and a dangerous idea danced in his head.
Good boy. Haha. You know, I was planning to feed you and your mom to my pets, but I think I'll keep you. Like a little psychically charged gerbil. I mean, after I blow this place to hell, the Krempari are going to start wringing every scant morsel of misery from you humans that we can. Population's gonna take a bit of a dip, May pay to have a couple personal batteries and... Hey! What are you doing?
Well, I figure since this is all human psychic energy, why not try using it?
Yuki thrust his hand into the bristles of the tree. A thrill rushed through him as the sensations from a million good deeds, acts of cheer, and selfless gifts flowed through him. The distilled idea of enjoying a hot cocoa after coming in from the cold, meeting an old friend, finding the same stupid jokes make them laugh, petting a cat, discovering the right word for a poem, seeing a child take their first step. It passed through Yuki, a power wanting to be used, uncovering his desires and setting to task. A bolt of red lightning arced from him to Claus, then onward to the beasts at his call. The evil alien laughed.
You idiot! My people feed on this power! Ha 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 ha!
Yeah, I know. But you are what you eat, right?
Ha 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 ha! Ho ho! Huh? What?
I hope you like gingerbread and peppermint.
No! 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 Ho ho ho! I'm going to frig you up! No! Heck! I'm sorry! I'd never hurt a kid! Would I? That would be wrong! So wrong! What was I thinking? Oki! You have to stop! Your species is too young to channel this for long! You could face permanent changes!
Yuki released the power, seeing Claus change from his monstrous form back to the old, jolly, round fellow that had accompanied them. Then his vision fell dark.
Yuki. Hey. Mark. Wake up, kiddo. We're here. Hey, buddy. You sleep okay?
Name's Yuki.
Oh? I'm holding you to that, kiddo. But you gotta get up.
Yuki woke to find himself in the co-pilot seat of his mother's charter plane. Out the window was the snow-covered base of Alert, aglow in decorative lights.
What? But the blizzard, the Yulkin, Santa?
The storm was pretty rocky, and I'm surprised you managed to sleep through it. Sounds like you had a fun dream, though. Anyway, Yuki, we gotta unload.
A dream?
While Susan got out of her seat to open the cargo door, Yuki felt genuine warmth and love coming off of his mother, felt it deep in his soul. He looked through the cockpit window to the north and swore he saw a shooting star that was just a bit jollier than the rest streak across the sky.